Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing for Designers podcast. I'm your host, Masha Coyne, a messaging strategist and a copywriter for the interior design industry. I've been marketing for what feels like forever in my past career at some of the biggest global firms like KPMG and Deloitte. Today, I write website copy for designers using my signature voice of customer framework. If you're a designer looking to up your marketing game and attract premium clients, this podcast is for you. Each week on the show, we're going to be talking all things marketing, from branding to messaging to social media, SEO, and so much more, so you can have all the tools you need to grow your business and attract your dream clients. Hello, and welcome back to the Marketing for Designers podcast. Thanks so much for being here. So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the difference between three marketing terms that I often hear designers and other people use interchangeably. And the terms are messaging, copy, and content. So messaging, copy, and content. Now, I know these terms get tossed around a lot, and it might seem like they're all part of the same thing. And in fairness, they are part of the same kind of category of things, but they all mean different things. And you want to understand how each plays a unique role in your marketing strategy, because each one is different. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it together. And I'll use some examples because I feel like when you use examples, it's so much easier to understand these kind of marketing jargon. So first of all, let's talk about messaging. Messaging is the core narrative of your interior design brand. Think of it as your why and the what. It answers the questions like, why does your brand exist? Or what unique perspective or solution does it offer to your clients? Your messaging consists of your brand values, your mission, and the unique selling proposition, or sometimes people refer to it as unique value proposition, the thing that sets you apart from every other designer out there. That's essentially what it means. So it's about articulating the purpose behind your work and the outcomes that you deliver to your client. Your messaging is the first thing that you want to be clear on before you do anything else. It's the foundation of your marketing efforts. So before you do the tactics, you want to be clear on your messaging strategy, because without a solid foundation, everything else, your marketing strategies, your promotional content, your Instagram, your client interactions, it's not as impactful. So good messaging connects with your audience on a truly emotional level. It's because it speaks to their desires, their pain points, their challenges, their aspirations. It tells them, I understand you. I know what you need, even if you haven't articulated it yourself. So when as a copywriter, as a website copywriter for interior designers, I write website copy for clients. And what I typically start with is messaging. I start with a messaging strategy. I first learn about you, what you do, what you bring to the table, what your X factor or your differentiator is, and what are all of these things. And I do that before I write a word of copy. So if I was to draw a parallel, think of your messaging as the foundation of a home you're designing. Just as a solid foundation supports and shapes the entire structure of a home, your messaging supports and shapes your brand. It's what makes your audience kind of nod in agreement and think, yep, that's exactly what I need. You get me. You understand what I want my home to look and feel like. So that was messaging. Now let's talk about copywriting or copy. Copywriting or copy. It's the same thing. Think of it as the how. Copywriting is your tool to articulate the messaging in a compelling, engaging, and action-inspiring manner, in action-inspiring words. It's not just about telling your audience what you do, but it's about telling them in a way that resonates with what they want from their space, what are their challenges, and what are they dreaming about. It's how you invite your audience into the room, so to speak, and make them want to stay. But it goes even further than that. And I feel like sometimes people assume that copywriting is just creative storytelling. It's how to say something in a more compelling and interesting way using beautiful words. But clarity in copywriting is actually more important than anything. So clarity is everything. At the end of the day, the right copy on your website can help your website visitors make that next step, whatever that next step you want it to be, whether it's to download something or book a call. So just like a well thought out design plan, your words must be carefully chosen for maximum impact on your website and in your messaging. So they should explain to your audience what makes your approach unique and why you are the perfect fit for their needs, whatever those needs are. So in essence, copywriting turns your strategic messaging, your why and how, into a conversation with your audience. It's basically the bridge between a brand's core values and mission and what your clients actually want. So we covered messaging, we covered copy. Now let's talk about content. At its core, content is basically the different forms of communication that you share with your audience. It's the blog post that you write, let's say, about design trends and maybe your perspectives on them. It's the social media updates on Instagram that maybe showcase your latest projects or take your audience behind the scene. It's the newsletters that keep your audience informed, or the videos or reels, whatever you do, whatever content you post out there. Think of your content as the ongoing conversation with your audience. It helps you build a relationship over time. So content serves multiple purposes. It has to educate your audience about interior design and about you. It has to provide them valuable insights they can apply in their own space, or just help you learn about your brand and what you do. It needs to showcase your expertise and highlight your unique approach or your differentiator to design so that it sets you apart from everybody else. And content needs to engage your audience, inviting them to interact with your brand through all kinds of social actions like comments and shares and reshares and all those things. So now we covered all three terms. We talked about messaging, we talked about copy, and we talked about content. Now let's look at some examples, because as I said, I feel like examples really help drive the point home. It really helps people understand those concepts in action. And the examples that I want to use are specifically for interior designers. So first, let's look at messaging examples. Imagine you are an interior designer who is really good at not just creating visually stunning designs, but also in producing detailed, construction-ready design drawings. And I'm thinking about this specific example is because I just worked with a client on her website copy, and that was her differentiator. It's the fact that she speaks construction. She's fluent in construction. So if you are that kind of designer, your unique selling point is your ability to bridge the gap between beautiful designs and practical implementation. So your messaging might focus on the importance of having designs that are as functional and, I guess, implementable as they're beautiful. So it's about ensuring that every design detail is communicated clearly, making it easy for general contractors to bring your vision to life without compromise. So that would be your messaging. That's your what and why. Now, let's talk about copy examples. With the messaging in mind, the one that we just covered with the contractor example, your website copy could highlight your expertise in this area. So for example, at so-and-so brand, we don't just design spaces that wow, we create blueprints for success. Our design come construction ready, ensuring that the transition from vision to reality is seamless for you and your contractor. And you can experience the peace of mind that comes from knowing that every detail of your design has been meticulously planned and is fully implementable. So that's your copy, for example, on your website or in your marketing. Now, let's look at some content examples. Aligned with this unique selling proposition that we just covered, your content strategy might include a series of case studies showcasing past projects where your design drawings led to a smooth construction process. Or you could have videos explaining aspects of your design to construction approach. Or you could have blog posts offering advice on how to communicate effectively with contractors. So this content not only educates your audience about the value of your services, but also establishes your brand as an authority in this space. I hope this was helpful and made you pause a little bit before you create your next piece of content or your next piece of marketing or your social media or even your website copy. Because first you want to reflect on your messaging, your why, and your what, and then about execution, which is the copy and the content. And that wraps up today's episode on the Marketing for Designers podcast. I hope you found it interesting. And from here on, you'll know exactly the difference between the messaging, copy, and content, and you'll be recognized. You'll be able to recognize and use these terms like a pro. See you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Marketing for Designers. This is Masha Cohen signing off. See you next week.